Hello. Hello, one viewer. Just making sure I get the invites to the right people. Oh, 3 viewers. Hello, 3 viewers. Hello, 5 viewers. Sorry, I'm not too exciting right now. I'm just making sure that I'm sending the link to the right people. If anyone is keen to join in live, please feel free to shoot me a message over on Twitter. Making sure that I'm sending the link to the... Oh, and now I'm looping myself. Oh, hello. I see that Jen King and Victoria Law are here. Hello, ladies. If either of you want to join live, please let me know. Hey, and I'm supposed to have a couple of my little members on here live, and they are not appearing just yet. Well, I may just get started. Give me like 2 more minutes to see if I can get the girls in here. Okay. I'm going to test something of my screen sharing. Oh, I think my guests are here. Hello?
Hey, can you see us?
I can hear you. And yes, now I can see you. I think your mic is turned off right now. So I can see you girls, but I can't hear you. You're just going to have to click your mic. Hello, everybody. Off right now.
Wait,
there,
wait,
I can
what?
hear you now. You're perfect.
Me?
Yes, girls, but I can't hear
Wait,
you.
Mommy,
You're just
it's
gonna have to click your
repeating.
mic.
Okay, do you want me to do it for a second?
Oh, so everybody, Chuck and Grace, you just need to close the other YouTube window. Just keep
See,
it.
Mama, it's repeating. What
Yeah.
it just said, and it's
Sure.
okay, Mommy, it's repeating.
So everybody, Chuck and Grace, you just need to close the other YouTube window. Just keep
See,
it.
Mama,
Okay, sorry.
Okay, I think we're
There.
good.
Is that better?
That is
I think
perfect.
you got it. Okay,
Okay.
so now.
All right, I think we're good to go. We've got our other presenters here with us. Again, if anyone wants to join us in the live Google Hangout, just shoot me a comment on Facebook, or sorry, not Facebook, I'm not on Facebook right now, on Twitter, and we'll add you to the live Hangout. But for now, let me introduce you to the folks on the live Hangout. So my name is Shauna Pollock, and I am one of the leaders of this session. And we also have some really special guests with us. So girls, can you introduce yourselves?
what?
You girls, yes.
I'm Grace.
And I'm Charlotte.
And we're like I was one of Shauna's students, and I also participated in the Passionate Learner Experiment. And I'm also one of her pioneer students at Blue Sky School. So yeah. And then Charlotte's a soon to be. She's also my sister.
I'm a junior pioneer student.
Yeah.
And do you want to just say who your mom is?
Karen Hill, the co-founder of Blue Sky School.
Yes, and Karen is very busy with lots of other jobs right now, so I'm being joined by two awesome Hills, Chuck and Grace, who are going to help me out today. So, girls, we have about 7 people watching us now from all over the place. I don't know where anyone is. They're welcome to leave some messages right live on YouTube. I know my cousin Victoria is here, so you can say hi to Tori.
Hi.
And my friend Jen, who's an amazing teacher, she's here too, so you can say hi to her.
Hi, Jen.
Okay, so, and girls, I've made a slideshow. You haven't seen it yet, but you'll be able to help me out with 2 parts of it, which are the Passionate Learner Experiment and the Blue Sky School. But you'll also get to hear a story about another school that I started. So I'm going to get that slideshow up and running now. Okay, so let's see. There we go. Ta-da. Okay. So today, you guys are here to learn a little bit about starting a school from the ground up. So what I have for you today is the stories of 3 little micro schools that I started. So the first, I'm gonna tell you each of the stories, but we're gonna look kind of at the recipe for starting a school. And Chuck and Grace, if you have anything to add, feel free to jump in. And same with anyone else watching, if you have something to say, just feel free to add your ideas to the comments on the side of the YouTube chat. So first of all, we know that there are a lot of awesome things about school, but there are also a lot of problems with school. And a lot of those problems come from the fact that we are building on a cracked foundation. So we're building upon a foundation for schooling that was built 150 years ago, has changed very, very little over that time, and is serving a very different population of students than it was originally intended for. So you can see we have our cracked foundation. And what happens is we keep pushing out new initiatives from all different kinds of levels of education and schooling. And what we're seeing is when we build upon a cracked foundation, the house that's on top of it falls down. So if we think of some of the things that we're throwing on top of the cracked foundation of schooling, we are throwing wonderful initiatives like Genius Hour and STEM projects and personalized learning. We're throwing all of these things on top of the cracked foundation, but ultimately the system is breaking down, and it's because we're not building from the ground up. So that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about making a thing. So when we know that there is something wrong and we try to build on top of it, we know that it's not sustainable and lasting, and it just doesn't work. So I'm going to share with you 3 stories of how I and some teams have made a thing. And to start out, you need to start by throwing out the rule book. So we start from scratch and we throw out the rules and we start again. And that means we're building a new foundation. So we're reimagining school and we're rebuilding the foundation. And the 3 projects you're going to hear about today are the Plaza Hotel ESL School, the Passionate Learner Experiment, and the Blue Sky School Experimental Prototype School of Tomorrow, which is the big project that I'm working on right now. So we've put together a little recipe. We're telling you to make a thing, and I'm telling you that I have made some things with amazing teams, but here are the steps to make a thing. And I'm going to apologize because I just realized my screen sharing is showing you all the slides that are coming up. But when I do full screen, when I do present, it doesn't let me actually navigate through anything or see my Twitter. So you're just going to have to deal with that for now. If you would like a copy of this slideshow afterwards, feel free to just let me know either on the YouTube live feed page or on Twitter. Just feel free to ask for whatever you need. Okay, so take a look at those steps to make a thing. And perhaps I could get Chuck and Grace to read those out because I'm just going to send a little message to somebody who wants to join us live. Grace and Chuck, could you read those out to us?
Sure. Identify the need. Oh, identify the need. Have a clear purpose.
Ask for help. Get started. Prototype.
Build your team. Reflect, be open to feedback, and change and make it better.
Be the change you want to see. Share and celebrate.
Amazing. Thank you, lovely ladies. Hopefully we'll have someone joining us in just a moment. They've asked to join us live. So those steps to make a thing that the girls shared are really, really important. And you can really transfer them to anything that you're making. But these are the steps that I found successful in actually starting new schools from the ground up. And the most important thing about any type of schooling is that you are empowering yourself and your learners to do cool things that matter. So I'm going to start with my first micro school project, and it happened in Toronto, and this was the Plaza Hotel, and it was an ESL school. So as you'll recall, about a year and a half ago, Canada took a huge number of Syrian refugees, and which is amazing and wonderful. However, while taking in those Syrian refugees, we didn't really have a totally clear plan on how to help those families settle in to Canada. I was living in Toronto. I had just finished writing my book, and I had some time, and I was missing working with kids. So I identified a need. I knew that there were Syrian families waiting for their new homes in hotels in Toronto in the middle of our winter, and they didn't have much to do. So I reached out all over social media, into all of my social networks, to find what was already going on in Toronto and what I could maybe help out with. So I visited a hotel called the Plaza Hotel on a Saturday afternoon. And this photo here is from that first visit I had. You can see over right here, there's a group of clowns that are working with the children. And in this hotel, there were hundreds of Syrian refugees awaiting their homes, awaiting settlement here in Canada, and there weren't systems set in place for them. So amazing volunteers stepped in and ran programs for them. At the time, this was the only program that was running in this hotel, and it was for about 250 children in a large ballroom for a couple of hours on Saturday afternoons. And it was reliant upon volunteers coming from all over the city to work with those children. Most of the volunteers had experience and skills in speaking Arabic, and most of the families that were staying in the hotel spoke exclusively Arabic with little bits of English. I speak very, very little bits of Arabic, just sort of some basic phrases, and I learned some colors. But I was here volunteering in this space, and what I saw was, oh, there's my friend Rola. Hello, Rola.
Hi, everyone.
So what I saw was a whole bunch of young children with this couple hours of programming a weekend. But what I also saw was missing was there was nothing for the older children. The older children who'd already been for years in refugee camps caring for their younger siblings didn't have a place to go, a place to learn, a place to just kind of be kids. So that was the need that I saw. In order to continue with this program, having a clear purpose was absolutely essential to me and the people that I worked with. And you can see right here through this window, there's the purpose. Those children waiting and sitting in hotels, looking for something to do before they got settled in their new homes. And so this is one day as I was driving out of the hotel, this is what I saw. So our clear purpose was to provide a learning environment for the older children, 14 and up. These younger children had a bit of programming, so we supported that, but we built new programming for the older children to learn English. So the next step in making a thing is to ask for help. And we live in a world where that is incredibly magically easy to do. So I put out on my Facebook and my Twitter that I needed some help. I was going to be working with Syrian refugees, and I wanted stories and pictures from Canadian children to give to the Syrian refugees. So some people from all over the country and all over the world sent amazing little illustrations, and they even wrote them in Arabic. And then I photocopied those and distributed those to our kids. So the first week that I was running this micro school, 1 week I visited this and I saw there was a need for the older kids. The following week I said, okay, I've met about 6 older kids. I'm going to run a program for them. So I set up for about 6 kids, and I had 30 show up, kids from age about 12 to their mid-30s. So not only youth and young adults as well. But what I know is that the secret to get ahead is getting started, which is from the lovely author Mark Twain. And so despite the fact that we had 6 times the amount of kids that we expected, we just got started. So we used the little bits of resources that we had around. We continued to reach out and ask for help. And then the program continued and continued to grow. And in order to do that, though, the next step in this process is to build your team. So once again, I reached out via social media for anyone that had some free time on weekends or particular weeknights when we could use the rooms at the hotel to come and join us. And here you can see one of our volunteers and a whole bunch of our students as we're starting to get in more of a routine and get started and going in the hotel. Once you've built the team, once you've gotten started, you need to keep going. And in order to do that, you need to be able to reflect, be open to feedback, and to make things better. So at the end of every class, the kids wrote on a big whiteboard, "Today I learned." At the end of every class, our team of volunteers sat down and we talked about stars and planets. Stars were the things that went really well. Planets were the things that we planned to improve for next time. And every single time, we acted upon that feedback and made it better. Getting started is incredibly important, but keeping going is what really, really makes a change. So some of the feedback we got is that the rules weren't clear enough, or the kids didn't really know what they were supposed to be doing. And for many of these kids, they'd never even attended any sort of formal schooling. And our schooling in this hotel was the most formalized schooling they had received. So as a group of volunteers, we put together very, very simple rules and practiced them over and over in English. So that's our list of rules right there. We also looked at the student feedback and made sure to be responsive to that. These are some of my very favorite ones. My name is Fahad. I learned to try. I love you too, Canada. And someone else wrote, "Today I learned how to try even if I failed." So it was really, really exciting reflection that we got, and we saw how important the rule of trying was to these kids, because for a lot of them, they were worried about getting the right or wrong answer, but they learned to try and fail. So some of the work that we were doing with them was to be the change that we want to see. We knew that these kids needed some support and help, and our volunteers identified different ways to do that. And one of those was to talk about food and to talk about healthy food. So we have a volunteer here talking to a group of students and teaching them how to ask for food, how to say thank you for food, to go to the washroom and wash their hands. We had lots of centers going on. The kids were really interested in developing their understanding of colors. So we had lots of conversation around colors, printing practice for that. In here, we have a teacher who brought a little dice, a little set of dice with her that had different questions on them. So the kids would roll them and answer questions in English. Typical centers you'd see in any kind of school, but for these kids, a lot of this was brand new to them. Here they are matching up puzzle pieces of words with the alphabet letters. We're doing some more color games here. And then this is a game from Hungry Minds Academy, which is a startup in Toronto. And you can set up any sorts of questions you want on 4 different games in their kit. So we actually got a set to try out with the students, and it was really, really fun to do. While you are doing all of this learning and building your school from the ground up, it is so important to share beyond the team of people that you're working with just in the physical space. We were sharing as much as we could on social media. You'll notice that a lot of these photos are taken at kind of a strange angle, and that's for the privacy of these kids. I didn't take any close-up photos of their faces. I took pictures of them as they were working so that we could share the photos out and people could see what we were up to. And then finally, it's so important while you're working through this process to remember to celebrate, to look at where you started and where you've come. So if we go back to our very first slide where we looked at identifying the need in this space, it was a bit of a chaotic program and no place for the older students. By the end of our several months of working together, we had cycled through more than 300 students, many of whom ended up in a short period or a long period in their own homes. So we always, every week, we hoped not to see our students again. When they'd leave at the end of the day, we would say, goodbye, hope to not see you next week, because not seeing us at the hotel next week meant the kids were in their own homes. And we cycled through over 50 volunteers as well, who gave up their own weekend and evening time to join us at the Plaza Hotel and work with these kids for nothing but the purpose of helping them out. We had a lot of volunteers from around the world who gave money to try to help and support us in buying supplies to do our learning with these students. So that was a really, really exciting process that I then replicated for another project that Grace was a part of, and Chuck will be able to maybe share some ideas as well. The next project that I did was an online micro school, and it was one of the first iterations of EPSOT, which is what? Grace, what does EPSOT stand for?
Experimental Prototype School of Tomorrow.
Excellent. And Grace was one of the superhero learners in the Passionate Learner Experiment.
I'm Triple M Master of Rhyme.
Before we go any further, we have a couple people. Well, we have Rolla on live here. We have a couple people with questions. Not questions, just comments. Nicola said, thanks for sending the link. And Hillary Walter said, finally got the chat to work. Amazing work. Thanks, guys. Rolla or Chuck or Gracie, did you have anything to say before we dig into Passionate Learner Experiment?
I'm just in awe of the things you did for the newcomers. That's amazing. And what a great learning experience, especially creating those illustrations from across Canada. So it's basically from students to new students. So that's amazing.
Thanks, Rolla. And what about you, Little Hill girls? Anything to share right now?
Yeah,
My name is Charlotte.
I agree with Rolla. Like, just what you did, that was like, that's amazing. You really changing the world by doing that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And that's
Good job, Shauna.
that's the biggest message I want people to take from this is it's hard to do something new, but if you feel that you have to do it, there is a formula to doing it. And it's quite a simple formula. It's like anything that we do in our lives, but it's back to these steps to making a thing. And we know that we can't do it alone, but once you've identified a need and have a purpose, then you can really move forward and build incredible teams that make incredible change. So we'll look at Passionate Learner Experiment for a little bit, and then we'll get into our latest project, which is Blue Sky School. So let's look at Passionate Learner Experiment first. So once again, we started with identifying a need, and the need that was identified in this case was people needed help developing digital literacy skills. So there are little pieces of digital literacy built into our curriculum already, but there's a lot of educators who aren't yet comfortable with digital literacy themselves. And so very often students go through their entire schooling without gaining a lot of knowledge about digital literacy and without gaining a lot of skills to be able to use those digital literacy pieces of knowledge in their lives. And we know how important digital literacy is in our day-to-day lives. So what we did is I built a program with a dual purpose. So the main purpose was to examine the question, how might we make an impact in 24 hours? So how might we change the world in 24 hours of online work? And with that, also, we would use all of our digital literacy skills, learn about them, and then apply them right away to prove that we could actually change the world in 24 hours. So we had our need and our purpose, and our purpose went a little bit deeper. So we laid out the outcomes of what the superhero learners, the participants in this experiment, would have. So we knew that they would be confident in using digital literacy skills, be able to identify appropriate tools for use in different tasks, that they would have a clear understanding of their strengths, learning style, and passions. They would feel pride in their ability to identify, define, and generate a timeline to act on solving real-world problems. They would be connected with allies, including their families, the teacher in the course, and their peers, and that they would end this 24 hours of learning with a digital portfolio of their work that is shared with an authentic audience. So we knew that we needed help for this. And this is something we translated right throughout to our learners. So each of our learners had to seek allies. Grace, do you feel comfortable talking at all about the allies?
Oh, sure. So allies are people who will help you on your journey to like impacting the world in 24 hours, and they might give you advice. So for example, my allies was like my mom. She was like we were kind of partners, me and my mom, because I'm not very like until the Passionate Learner experiment, I wasn't very tech savvy and stuff. So I needed a lot of help from my mom. I needed a lot of help from my friend Rowan, who sent me who sent me stuff to help me on to help me on the way of learning, doing my my Passionate Learner experiment, and also my dad. And
Did Chuck get any credit? Was she one of your allies too?
That's okay.
Okay, well, she was my ally for, boosting me out, whenever I felt down, she would make me laugh and stuff. So I guess that counts.
Not only did I need help and allies in building this course, but the learners also learned to seek out allies as well.
Oh, and you were also my ally.
Oh yes, I was automatically an ally of all of them.
Yes.
So to get this one started and kicked off, we met. Most of my Passionate Learners were in Ottawa, even though I was in Toronto at the time. But I came into Ottawa to have an in-person kickoff. And if you've been to any of my events lately, my book launch or Blue Sky School stuff or Passionate Learner stuff, we are very often in the basement of the Barley Mow at Westboro because they are so wonderful to us. So here we have, I think this is Grace right here, and she's
That's my hair.
just getting started. So this was our mission 0, and we had the parents and the learners, and we talked about exactly what the Passionate Learner experiment was going to be. And in that way, we built our team. So here is the first team of Passionate Learners, along with their parents who served as allies throughout the experiment. Again, it's so important when we build something for people with a purpose that we are reflecting, being open to change, and making it better. So I made sure that at the end of every mission in the Passionate Learner experiment, the learners had an opportunity to reflect upon it so that I could create the next mission in a way that was the best possible experience for them. So you keep hearing Grace and I use these words mission, and this is what it looked like. So it was a very gameful experience where instead of the gamification of just badges and awards and leaderboards, we actually looked at gameful attitudes and how to develop those. I was very inspired by a writer and a researcher named Jane McGonigal and her work, especially in the book Super Better. I really suggest you check it out if you want to take gameful attitudes into the world and find ways to develop those within learners. It's a really fantastic book, not actually designed for educators, but there's so much you can pull out of there. So the learners had a series of 8 missions. This is an example of some of the pieces of mission number 4. Mission number 4 was Action Hero, to make an action plan and to take action. So they would receive a video briefing from me. That's what you can see in the middle with my cool special effects from my computer. And then they would receive all the little quests in their mission, and they would work through it at their own pace with their allies, seeking help from me as needed. And they would post it on their digital portfolio. So here we have some of the ways that we shared. So this is a few of the Passionate Learners here in a call very identical and similar to what we're doing now. And what we were doing was talking about how things were going and what might need to be changed. And then you can see the learner here zoomed in. His name's Camden. And then on his blog, and via email, he wrote this letter for allies and acquaintances explaining the project and seeking them out. So once again, sharing was incredibly important. I try to open source as much as I possibly can to provide learning opportunities, not just for the people participating in a project, but also for anyone else who might be following along. And a great example of that is the work that is happening right now with MAD PD. Everyone is sharing their learning and working together. So there we have some of us sharing. And then finally, our celebration was just wonderful. Grace or Chuck, did one of you want to talk about our celebration that you can see the picture of there?
Sure. That actually was located in the, we were looking enough to get like a space in the Shopify building. So that's in the Shopify building. And what we were doing is presenting what we're at our journey and like what we've developed on such. And so I was like, and what were some like technically just saying a whole summary of how the Passionate Learner experience like affected us and how far we've come from the start and what we found challenging, what challenges we faced. And yeah,
Fantastic. And some of those pieces of celebration are listed right here. The learners did exactly what the purpose of the Passionate Learner Experiment was. So if we look back to this slide, with the confidence in using digital literacy tools, having a clear understanding of their own strengths, learning styles, and passions, feeling pride in their ability to identify and act on a problem, connecting with allies, and have a digital portfolio. These are some of the pieces of feedback we received right at the end. So the learners did discover their passions. They presented confidently to a crowd in their own voices, which was absolutely incredible, both online through their digital portfolios and in person at our Shopify celebration. Some of the quotes from our learners include, "I'm getting closer to changing the world in slow, turtley steps." So we realized that in 24 hours, you can get started. In 24 hours, you probably can't get finished on changing the world. The learners got no school credit for any of this. So one of them said, "We chose to spend our time doing this." That was part of the experiment for me, was to see if we could get engaged learners to work without any sort of extrinsic reward. And it certainly worked beautifully. For some people, it was good to get to know each other better. Someone said it gave them the opportunity to get their ideas out. And it was really cool that people were caring enough to actually read and comment. So for a lot of the learners, that was really exciting, that people were visiting their blogs, their digital portfolios, reading what they did and commenting, and even connecting them with other sorts of opportunities. And then finally, it's a great way to reflect on and rediscover your learning. We sometimes get so caught up in class and getting our work done that we forget about how to learn in a way that is best for us. So those were some of the incredible outcomes that we were so thrilled to celebrate after the Passionate Learner Experiment. Anything else, Grace or Chuck or Rolla, that any of you want to add about that?
No, well, it was, yeah, you technically covered everything.
I'm just trying to tweet, so I'm catching, listening, and tweeting at the same time. So it's amazing. I've lived some of this process. I was at the celebration. It was incredible.
I actually, someone recently, like it was through the grapevine, said, "Oh yeah, I know someone who attended a workshop and it taught them to do all these missions and stuff." And it was so funny because it wasn't intended necessarily as a workshop. It was more like our celebration and sharing. But we were so pleased that other people learned something from that and then took it back to their own context. Okay, so now it's the most exciting, most current part. The Passionate Learner Experiment was sort of EPSOT 1.0. If we're looking at EPSOT 2.0, Experimental Prototype School of Tomorrow 2.0, that is Blue Sky School. And that is the project that we are working on right now, every single day, and getting ready to open a brand new, real, in-person, physical school in September. So as Grace said, she is one of our pioneer students. You'll see a couple more of those in just a moment. And Chuck is one of our advisors and helpers and a future student. And once again, I call Charlotte Chuck. Other people call her Charlotte, but I like to call her Chuck. So for Blue Sky School, we identified a need, and there's almost no better way to describe that need than a quote from the main character in 13 Reasons Why. So I know some people would have watched this show. Lots of people wouldn't. I hope, Grace and Chuck, you have not watched it.
No.
But there's lots of powerful stuff in that show. There's lots of controversial stuff in that show. But when I heard this line, I immediately paused my Netflix, played it over and over again until I could write this line down. So Chuck, do you want to read it? Can you see it well enough?
No, I'm
Go ahead.
Like the whole thing?
Yeah, start at the word dream.
Okay. Dream big, they say. Shoot from the stars. Then they lock us away for 12 years. Tell us where to sit, when to be, and what to think. Do I keep reading?
Sure.
Then we turn 18, and even though we've never had an original thought, we have to make the most important decisions of our lives. 13 Reasons Why.
So much. So that really spoke to me and just put exactly our purpose, our need, our mission into words. And it goes right back to that broken foundation of schooling. We are teachers and administrators and parents and students, we're doing our best in a system that is foundationally broken, and we need to make a change with that because our students, turn 16, 17, or 18, they finish their years of schooling with us, and they really don't know how to live and what to do. So we are creating a space for them. The need that we've had an immense amount of students come to us saying that they need something different. And so far we have a set of students in our Pioneer class. Our Pioneer class has 12 students, and we have a few of them ready to share their faces, and some of them not quite ready to share their faces yet, but there are a few spaces left. So here are our Pioneer students, and if we look to identify the need, those are the faces of need right there for something new. So we have created a clear purpose for those users that have that need, and the clear purpose is to break outside of the box and open up every opportunity for those students as high and as wide as the big blue sky, and that is why we are called Blue Sky School. So here we are busting right out of the box to become Blue Sky School. And we're doing it now because kids can't wait. They're in school right now. We have one chance at their education. This is totally urgent, and because of that, we are opening in September 2017. We will have been working for less than a year on this iteration of Blue Sky School, although it has lived in my brain and my heart, and in the brain and heart of Karen Hill, my partner, for years and years and years. We know that we have to do it now. And that's what, once again, that's what I'm talking about today, is the make a thing. If there's a thing you need to make, just get started on it. Everyone involved with Blue Sky School knows that it is not going to be perfect the first day of September. Well, the 5th day of September, our first day of school. Everyone knows that it is an experimental prototype, and we're working together to make an amazing thing. So along with our purpose, we've defined our vision and our mission. Gracie, do you want to read our vision?
Sure. Learning happens when passion and empowerment meet. Blue Sky School is the experimental prototype school of tomorrow that nurtures the next generation of changemakers and partners with today's innovation leaders.
Awesome. And so there's a lot of things about Blue Sky School that are a little bit different than what you might be used to. And we'll kind of get to those in a minute. But we've also defined our mission and our values. And those are the next 2 slides. So in our mission here, I think we have Karen joining us. Hello, Karen.
There she is.
Karen is the co-founder of Blue Sky School. Karen, do you have a minute? Do you want to read our mission?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Our mission is that as a learner-centered innovation space, we provide a wide range of opportunities for community members of all ages to come together and learn. We foster mental wellness, natural creativity, and innovation through our learning. We provide an unprecedented individualized education that creates the conditions for learners to solve their real-world problems and share their discoveries with authentic audiences. We empower members of our community to collaborate and shape our prototype, and we share our discoveries about effective learning and schooling openly to help advance education.
Amazing. So that again is our purpose, and you'll see here are the things that we value. And we had a really fascinating process of building our core values with our learners and with our partners and with our advisors. So you'll recognize a lot of these ideas from what we've already talked about today. But as you can see in the middle, this was the favorite part of the kids that we worked with on this, on our values, which is at Blue Sky School, we dream bigger. And we do that through a number of values, including passion, experimentation, celebration, kindness, balance, and connection. So, like we've looked at for the other 2 projects, we need to build, we need to ask for help. And we know a project like building a physical school cannot be done even just with those happy little faces that you see on the screen right now. We need more people. So we've been asking for help everywhere we can. And Rola, that other happy little face on our screen, is another one of our helpers. But what we've looked for is people for whom Blue Sky School is the right fit. So we've looked for families and students that are the right fit, mentors, action team members who are building a school with us, and for partners. So what we know as well when we're asking for help is that we need people and we need time. And so we are working away at those things. And I'm just spotting in my later slides, I think I missed matching things up, but that's okay. We'll look at them in just a second. So the secret to getting ahead is getting started. So right away, we've thrown ourselves right into Blue Sky School. Ever since the year 2017 started, we have been doing as much as we possibly can with Blue Sky School. And some of those things include pioneer events. So Chuck or Grace, do you want to talk about our pioneer event from yesterday?
Oh yeah!
We went to a makerspace.
Yeah. Although it wasn't, we were gonna after go to this cooking thing, like that they would do with different foods, but instead we got stuck. Like our food took so long. We like went there for 3 hours. Anyway, that's beside the point. Sorry. we went to this makerspace and
there were a lot of 3D printers. We got to watch things 3D print, but we also got to take like a little duck or a 3D printed octopus, or a 3D printed duck home with us.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But it wasn't just us. It
was the whole pioneer class and a couple of other people who are maybe
pioneer students.
Yeah.
And we're trying to do this as often as possible to start the Blue Sky School learning experience before we're even in our physical space, to have our students get to know each other and really to live the purpose, our vision, mission, and values, even before we're all physically together. And so we offer as many free workshops and activities as we possibly can for people to learn in the Blue Sky School way. So even though we don't have our space yet, we've just gotten started. And that's what I want to encourage everybody to do. If there's something you want to do, you don't have to wait for the conditions to be absolutely perfect. The secret to getting ahead is just getting started. And so the next step is to build your team. And we're going to look, our team continues to grow and they're absolutely amazing. So what we know is that what is the most important thing in building something new is not exactly where we're going to end up. We do know that we have a shared vision, mission, passion, and values, but we don't exactly know what the final version of Blue Sky School is going to look like. And that's really exciting and wonderful. But in order to achieve our vision, mission, values, and passion, we're starting not with the where, but with the who. And so we're getting the right people on the bus, the wrong people off the bus. So people who don't believe in the same things can learn from us in their own way, but our team that's moving us forward needs to be the people that really, really believe in this and want to make it happen. And then it's about getting the right people in the right seats. So we have an amazing team that just continues to grow, but here are some of the team members, and you've met Karen and I already. This is Riley. She is a recent graduate from the Bachelor of Education program at Ottawa U, and she did a student teaching placement with us. And she is now one of our instructional design officers. We have an amazing designer, and you've seen already her design for our values. That's Sage. We have a canine pupil who's emotional support. Her name's Ivy. We have Heather, who is going to help us out once a week. We have Kathleen, who's going to help us out twice a week. We have Erin, who is a high school co-op student who's going to be helping us out for the whole first term. And then we have lots of space for other people to join our team. We even have a new team member that has not yet been announced, but that will be coming shortly. But our team doesn't just consist of those folks. It consists of a whole ton of advisors as well. And our advisors help us do a lot of things, including reflecting, being open to change, and helping us make things better. So you'll recognize this lovely face. She's also in our chat today. Miss Rolla is right here. We have some we have some student advisors who are still in school. We have some student advisors who are recently out of school. We have some student advisors who I have taught in the past, and some we've met from all other different capacities. So at Blue Sky School, we are the change that we want to see in the world. And that includes all of the things that we imagine for school and that we want to see become better. So Chuck and Grace, can you read those words, or do you want me to read them? I'm not sure if they're large enough.
Oh, sure, I'll read them. Cheryl just went out for just a little thing. So students were challenged to think of the impact they have on the world. Students use their imagination to construct a world that works for their generation. Students learned about and developed their integrity to become the citizens of tomorrow. Students were guided to innovate rather than replicate. Students gained independence and could move their learning at their own pace. Students were inspired to achieve their most ambitious dreams and plans. Students completed their grade 4-12 student empowered and equipped to pursue their wildest and most ambitious dreams.
So Grace, Those are all the things we want to imagine if. And you just made a video the other day and you focused on some of these. What did you say after you gave all those ideas for imagine if?
Oh, what was that again? No, I don't remember. Sorry.
That's okay. Grace.
You mean the intense day?
The intense day of recording. At the end of this part, Grace and Harry said, you don't have to imagine anymore. We have a place for you, and that is Blue Sky School. So this is all the things that we want to have our students leave our schooling with, is all of these imagine if pieces. And so also with Blue Sky School, we share. So we have a website, and we're sharing as much as possible with the hashtag Blue Sky School and with our Twitter account, Blue Sky School CA. This is us on a very rainy day yesterday, out exploring the city and visiting the university. And we know that the rain didn't dampen our Blue Sky School spirit. So we're sharing what we're doing. Now, not only are we sharing little pieces of our story, but along with our team and our advisors, we are building a curriculum and policies and procedures from scratch. And each of those pieces of policy and procedure and each curriculum guideline will ultimately, once they're in a pretty nice looking draft format, those will be shared out with the world so that anyone in their own contexts can use the Blue Sky School type of learning to enhance their own students' experiences and to try to make some of these dreams come true. So we get this question very often, which is, how is Blue Sky School different? So before we read through this at all, maybe if Chuck or Rolla or Grace, if any of you want to share something that you know that's kind of different about Blue Sky School. So you don't even have to read this, but if you could just tell anyone who's watching and listening what's really special about Blue Sky School.
Being built with the community.
Yeah, Rolla, could you talk about that just a little bit more?
Yes, it's so important for students to connect with the community and actually learn from experts within the community and share their learning, as well as build on their inquiry from the community. So that is a very important key.
Absolutely. I'll put that slide back up after, but I just want to see your little faces for now.
Hi.
Chuck and Grace, what do you know that's kind of special about Blue Sky School?
Well, Blue Sky School, like, when you go there, wow, that's cool. When you go there, you have your favorite thing, like what you like to do, but Blue Sky School, yeah, your passion, but Blue Sky School forms around your passion,
I think what Charlotte means to say is, like, you learn through your passion, so you're actually engaged in what you're learning. Is that what you were trying to say?
Sort, yeah.
So, yeah. And also that we're actually doing stuff that matter. That like school, they teach a lot of stuff that we won't really need to use in the real world. So we're doing actually stuff that is like steps forward to impact the world and do make a change.
Awesome.
Thanks.
You guys can keep talking if you want, but I'll go back to our slideshow and I'll just sort of say some of the things that we've talked about. So student voice shapes everything at Blue Sky School, and that is why it's so important to find our pioneers at this point and really get their input at every stage of building the school. Like Rolla said, Blue Sky School is built for, with, and as a community, and is going to continue to involve the community throughout our entire existence. We also partner with industry leaders. So our school, in this first year that it's opening, we're actually embedded within Modern Ag construction company, and we're sharing space and a learning philosophy with them. So that's a really exciting, unique piece about our school that, as far as we've researched, there is no other school on the planet that has that same kind of relationship. Our curriculum is on demand. So like I said, we're building the curriculum guidelines with the community. But what that means is that our curriculum is based on student needs and interests. It's shaped by current events, and it's focused more on skill and competency rather than the acquisition of knowledge or facts or content. We measure the progress of Blue Sky School students in their personalized goal, not in standardized arbitrary measures. So when we pulled our action team together, that was one of the biggest pieces that every group came up with. We had 50 amazing people come together and talk about their ideas of what we need to start, stop, and keep in schooling. And almost every group except one, their first thing to stop was standardized testing. But if we look at a lot of schooling right now, there's so much of it that's standardized beyond just the standardized testing, that is something that we want to eliminate, that the curriculum is actually really, really responsive to the student needs, and then that is what they are assessed on, their own needs and areas of growth. There is no skill or knowledge in isolation at Blue Sky School. We'll build skills and competencies so that students can do cool stuff that matters, and every piece of their learning will be cross-curricular. Now, there's a couple of just sort of practical things that are different about Blue Sky School. So we will have multi-age groupings rather than classes divided by birth year and age. Each grouping will be 12 students and 1 educator, and the role of the educator moves from the imparter of knowledge to a pedagogical coach. So it's someone who understands the science of learning and the art of teaching, and they're able to guide those students through all those wonderful things we've talked about in terms of setting their own goals and measuring their progress. But the pedagogical coach also stays with those 12 students throughout their entire time at Blue Sky School. So the students, the Pioneer class, will be one house of learners, and they'll be working together all the way until they're done at Blue Sky School with me as their pedagogical coach. We know that not one educator or adult can possibly enliven enthusiasm and passion in every single subject area. And that's one of the limitations and one of the ways that our current system is kind of broken at the foundation. So we're going to be bringing in mentors and coaches that are passionate subject matter experts, and they can really impart some of that passion into our students. Crucial to Blue Sky School is that we have ongoing partnership with families, and families are on board for the experiment and will contribute in whatever way works for their family. There's a focus on the whole child, including mental wellness. And this is another piece of our broken foundation, is that we leave the mental wellness to be dealt with by others, and we don't look at the whole child in our schooling system, and we don't have resources to look at the whole child in our schooling system. And we know how absolutely crucial mental wellness is to everything else, and particularly success in school. So there's a huge focus that we have on that. We're going to be a hub for the community. So even if you are not a full-time Blue Sky School student, there will be opportunities for your class, if you are in Ottawa or if you come from further away, to come to our school on a monthly field trip. So we'll be open to other classes to visit, and Grace and the other Pioneer students will be planning and running these field trips for students. Monthly, we'll be providing workshops for educators. We'll be very excited to announce soon some evening and weekend programming that we're offering through different organizations that have similar philosophies to ours. So we really become this community hub. And then as well, we want to provide opportunities for people who need a space to work on their own individual passion projects, a co-working space. So they'll come into our space and they can use it during the day and after school hours. And in exchange, what they'll be doing is they'll be working as mentors and coaches with our students. And then finally, Blue Sky School is different because it's an applied research facility. So not only are we working with our group of students, but we really want our impact to grow and change the world of education. So we're going to be welcoming researchers to come in and look at what we're doing and experiment with some ideas of their own with our students in order to research effectively. And finally, we will have lots to celebrate in the coming months, and we are doing that as we go by sharing our story. But Grace and Charlotte, can you tell us the catchphrase of Blue Sky School?
At Blue Sky School, the sky is never the limit.
And one of our pioneers came up with that awesome phrase, and we like to end everything. Michael, yes. We like to end everything we do with that awesome phrase because it is totally true. And so that is a bit of the story of Blue Sky School. You've heard a bit of the story of the Syrian refugee ESL school. You've heard a bit of the story of Passionate Learner Experiment. I'm going to put my face back on the screen.
Hi, Shauna.
Hello.
I love the background.
Rolla, Chuck, or Grace, do any of you have anything else you want to say? I'm just looking on Twitter and YouTube to see if there's any questions. So if you girls have anything you want to say, go ahead.
Well, we wrote a sign, but I think it'll be backwards. It says "Go Blue Sky School, go."
Backwards.
No, it looks good.
It's not.
No, it's
Oh,
perfect.
really? Yeah. GOBLUE.
Lovely.
Sky School.
And Rolla, anything else you wanted to add?
No, thank you. Just looking forward to learning with you and your students, and it's an exciting journey.
Well, we're so grateful, Rolla, that you are following along with us tonight, but that more than that, that you are one of our advisors, because you are just so awesome and so helpful.
Yeah.
We are always looking for new partners and new helpers, people to learn with us, people for us to learn from. So please, please, please feel free to be in touch. I'm on Twitter as at Miss Pollock, MISSPOLLOCK, and then Blue Sky School is on Twitter as at Blue Sky School CA. And then we have a website, which is blueskyschool.ca. So we're fairly easy to find, I hope. We're also on Facebook. We will soon be on Instagram. And we go with the hashtag Blue Sky School if you ever kind of need to find what we are up to. Such a pleasure to talk with you ladies tonight and to see folks following along. Oh, and here we just have a question from Nicola. So she's looking for the list of weekend and evening activities for students. Nicola, that is an awesome question. Right now, our events, we are inviting people sort of individually. We put some things up onto meetups.com and Eventbrite. But if you are interested in receiving our mail outs, we send a mail out once every 2 weeks or once every month. You can join that by just notifying me on any of our social media channels or via email. You can also reach us via email at blueskyschoolca@gmail.com. So you can find us that way. And I'm happy to share our evening and weekend events that we're running throughout the year. And then we'll be posting more publicly the evening and weekend and field trip events for the school year on our website. We have like 4 more minutes. I'm just going to see if any more questions come through. Chuck or Gracie, any other words?
Go Blue Sky School!
Grace and Harry and Nanak, so a couple of our student advisors and a Pioneer student, they worked really hard last week on a video that's going to tell the story of Blue Sky School, and we filmed it at a really fun place where Riley and I worked, which is called Impact Hub, which is a co-working space for social enterprise, and that video will be coming out very, very soon, so we'll tweet that out, we'll send that out via email, we'll put it on our website, but that will show you a little bit more of the story of Blue Sky School from the voices of the students.
AKA me and Harry.
AKA you and Harry. Well, thank you very much, everybody. It was a real pleasure to chat with you tonight, and we'll see you all really soon.
Bye, Shauna.
Bye, Gracie. Bye, Chuck. Bye, Rolla. Thank you. Thanks, Nicola. Thanks, Tori. Thanks, Jen. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.